What's up, YouTube? Brian here, coming back at you with another video. Today we were going to talk about something completely different, but apparently nature had other intentions. So today this video is all about dino algae in your aquarium. For those of you who don't know what dino algae is, its more specific name is Dinoflagellates. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, please forgive me for butchering it, but that is the best pronunciation that I can make for it. But basically, it's an algae that is a cross between diatoms and red slime, or commonly known as cyanobacteria. It's both of them merged together, which in an ocean environment we refer to as red tide. Now this stuff can become very, very toxic and spread very quickly in your home aquarium system. It is poisonous to your snails and hermit crabs, and gone unchecked, it will completely take over your tank. People, this is the type of algae that has caused people to break down their tanks and start over, or walk away from the hobby altogether. Now, over the years that I've been in this hobby, this is the first time I've come in contact with this kind of algae. I've battled diatoms, I've battled green hair algae, I've battled red slime algae. I've never ever had to experience this dino algae before. So let me kind of paint the picture here for you. A couple days ago I noticed some brown algae developing on the sand bed. So naturally I figured, okay, well maybe it's just a little, diatoms, maybe something screwed up and it's just going through a little mini cycle, who knows. Then a couple days later, the algae started to produce some stringy, almost like snot string material from its base, with little air bubbles attached to it. And it wasn't going away. I would find that when the lights would shut off, it would kind of recede, and in the morning the sand wouldn't look so bad. But as the day progressed, you could see it just coming out with a vengeance. So after doing some research, I figured out what it was by some helpful reef forums and some other people on YouTube. They pinpointed it down to dino algae. So they recommended to black out your tank for a minimum of 3 days, along with raising the pH level. So yesterday, or last night I should say, I went ahead and blacked out the tank. As you can see, it's covered in black trash bags, front and back. There is an opening in the back of the canopy that will allow carbon monoxide to escape and some oxygen to go in. I went ahead and removed the corals from the tank. I heard two sides of the story. Some people say you could leave the corals in there. Some people said, you should take them out. Nothing's a complete science here. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and you kind of got to decide what to do, what would work best for you. In my case, I felt that it was safer to remove the corals and place them in a different tank while I do this, to try to minimize any losses, because I've got a lot of money in coral and some SPS and stuff that I just didn't want to take a chance on losing. So I went ahead and removed the corals from the tank, placed them in a different holding tank. Now the fish are still in this tank. They're completely fine. I actually peeked in from around the side there not too long ago, and they're swimming around. Fish in marine setups out in the ocean and then in the wild, there's stages they go through where storms roll in and last for a week, and there is no sunshine. So basically they'll just go into almost like a hibernation mode. And they'll be fine. The tank is not getting fed. They're not going to get any food for the 3 days, which here again, that's not going to be an issue. Fish can go prolonged periods of time without food, but they can die instantly with poor water quality. So I would rather not continue to pollute their environment and keep them alive than make sure that they're fed, because fish are kind of funny. Every time you feed them, they come back for more, like they're starving when they're not. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I noticed a couple people on some forums also advise dosing hydrogen peroxide. Now, I've decided I'm not going to do this, at least at this stage. The general, I guess, recommendation by these people is that you would dose 1 milliliter of hydrogen peroxide per 10 gallons of your total water volume. So in my case, that would be 10 mLs for 100 gallons of water volume. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait it out. I don't like putting stuff in my tank that I don't know how it's going to react to the water quality, the live rock, the sand, or the inhabitants for that matter. So I'm not going to go that route yet. I'm going to black the tank out for 3 days and see what happens. This dino algae basically thrives on light. So the whole goal behind this is to starve the algae out by not providing it with any light for its photosynthesis. It's got no choice but to starve itself out. Once it's consumed whatever nutrients it's feeding off of without a light source, it has no choice but to perish. So that's kind of the goal. I went ahead and turned off the refugium light, so there's no light in the refugium, there's no light in the display tank. I did ramp up my skimmer. I'm typically more of like a dry skimming kind of person, but I went ahead and dialed it to where it'll skim wet because I'm really trying to remove all this stuff from the water column. Now in 3 days we will do another video, basically almost like opening up a Christmas present. You guys will be able to see the moment I see what the tank looks like. If there is any left over, what we'll do is we will siphon it out through a filter sock, allowing the filter sock to catch the algae, but also allowing the water from the aquarium to return back to the system. One thing that people have suggested that you do not do in a situation like this is water changes. Apparently this algae loves fresh salt water and it just feeds and thrives off of it. So for those people out there who are kind of like myself who think water changes are necessary and do them all the time, this is one of them times where you're just going to have to just bite the bullet, tie yourself down to a chair, whatever you got to do to resist the urge and not do a water change. That could probably be one of the worst things you could do, because introducing new freshly made salt water to this stuff will give it a whole nother life and allow it to spread and grow, and that's the opposite of what we want. But yeah, kind of depressing, kind of upsetting, but unfortunately this hobby is there's not a science to it. It's kind of trial and error. I've been in the hobby a long time, and it's the first time I've come in contact with this kind of stuff. But I mean, it is what it is. You identify the problem, you figure out how to resolve the problem, and then you execute the plan. And that's what we're doing here. So we will keep you guys updated. In 3 days, I'll come back and we'll do an unwrapping video, so to speak. I think that's what I'll call it. I'll call it an unwrapping video. We'll unwrap this tank as if it was Christmas morning, and you'll be able to see the same time I do if we were successful or if there's still more issues. So until then, I appreciate all your all support. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back with more videos. Y'all take it easy.